I see where the Police Federation is indicating that they are deeply troubled by a motion to amend the Indecom Commission of Investigation, Indecom Act, which was tabled in Parliament by Minister of Justice Delroy Chuck. Minister Chuck indicated that he intends to bring a bill validating and indemnifying Indecom from previous actions taken to arrest, charge, and prosecute police officers. Remember now that the Police Federation brought legal challenge to Indecom's power of arrest, and the court ruled in 2013 that Indecom did have the power under the Indecom Act 2010 to arrest, charge, and prosecute members of the security forces. However, the Court of Appeal had overturned that ruling in 2018, with the Privy Council upholding the ruling in May of this year. In a statement released yesterday, the Federation expressed outrage at the proposed amendments and said it will not be business as usual as the members fight for their rights. And Sergeant Petrero, the head of the Federation, is of the belief that Indecom should not receive immunity from damages against its members. Remember now, because of the Court of Appeal ruling upheld by the Privy Council that Indecom does not have the power of arrest, it could open a can of worms where Indecom could be sued. And Sergeant Rowe is saying he's of the belief that the government is using Indecom as a weapon against the police. Let's hear what Sergeant Rowe had to say.
He said in our release that the government is using Indecom as a weapon against the police. We believe that there are several errors in the minister's statement, in the minister's motion to Parliament, that offends us, that offends the pursuit of justice for police officers. We believe that Indecom has demonstrated over time that they did not have regard for what is prescribed within the legislation, but they were more concerned with powers that they did not have. And we believe, we disagree with the minister, that they did not arrest and prosecute our members in good faith. They knew exactly what they were doing. Our members suffered because of it, and Parliament cannot give Indecom immunity from damages from our members.
Indecom did not arrest and prosecute in good faith, Sergeant Rowe? So what is Sergeant Rowe saying? Is he saying that Indecom directly set out to be troublesome? No, Sergeant Rowe. I think you are wrong. Dead wrong on this call. The Police Federation is specifically pointing to the minister's proposal to give Indecom body corporal status. And the Federation argued that it was a disingenuous way to open the door for the oversight body to get the prosecutorial powers it has always sought. Let's hear that point from Sergeant Rowe.
The Privy Council made a ruling recently, and one of the issue of contention is that Indecom made arguments within the Privy Council to say that there are citizens of Jamaica who have private members' prosecution. The Privy Council declared that Indecom cannot pursue prosecution as a private citizen because it's not a body corporate. What the Minister of Justice has done is declare to Parliament through his motion that he intends to give Indecom body corporate status, which makes them a legal entity, which gives them essentially the opportunity to pursue private citizens' prosecution. And we believe that that declaration by the minister is a direct response to the statement made by the Privy Council in their ruling.
On that point, Sergeant Rowe, you may be onto something. And he could be very well be right that this may be a way to give Indecom that power to arrest. So I will accept that point from Sergeant Rowe. What I cannot agree with, Sergeant Rowe, is that Indecom is used as a weapon against police. Indecom has its successes, make no doubt about it. One indicator of Indecom's success has been the significant decline in fatal police shootings in the decade of its existence. In the year of its launch, in 2010, there were 277 police homicides. Last year, 2019, there were 86, a decline of 191, or more than 200% fewer police homicides than a decade ago. Why is it that the police officers have problems being held accountable? We cannot have a police force that investigates itself. And we know that Jamaica's crime rate is too high. And I know that what is sometimes used as the reason to say Indecom is there as a deterrent for police to carry out their jobs is because they're saying Indecom is there and they're afraid. They're afraid of being pulled by Indecom. And I say that is utter rubbish. If the police is doing their job, then they have nothing to fear. We want to engender a police force where they understand that they are not a law unto themselves. We want to have a police force that will understand that they are upholders of the rule of law, to serve and to protect while respecting the rights of all citizens. And we know the challenges faced by Indecom when they try to get information from the police to carry out investigation on their colleagues. They face stumbling blocks. So yes, Sergeant Rowe, the police force has no problem to arrest colleagues. But in order to arrest, Indecom will first need to investigate. And that is where they're facing challenges. And I know and admit that there are some issues with the force. They face their own challenges. They face administrative issues that must also be resolved. The issue of promotion, the issue of pay, the issue of police sent on interdiction and the process to get them reinstated. But that doesn't take away from what Indecom is doing. I watched the news last night and I saw a gentleman from Harborview who is alleging that he was beaten by members of the police force. And little did they know that a closed circuit camera from a house was on them. And you see the footage where the gentleman was clearly hit by the police. but yet he was slapped with multiple charges of assault. These are the things I'm speaking about. And this is why Indecom is so important. And Sergeant Rowe, if you have a problem with Indecom and how they operate, take it up with the Parliament. That is their oversight body. And Parliament must hold Indecom to account. But it cannot be that we are going to diminish the role of Indecom to the perils of the Jamaican people. There is therefore nothing out of place in having a highly motivated constabulary and one that is held rigorously to account by Indecom. And that is why, like the Integrity Commission, Indecom should have powers of prosecution and the support of the government and the public in getting the job done without fear or favor, as it should be with the police, within the bounds of the law. I'm tired of this argument about the police and Indecom in fight. We need to get it over with, because Indecom has a role, a very important role. On the Gleaner front page this morning, listeners, President of the JTA, Owen Speed, is calling for health and the health officials to disclose to school administrators students who test positive for COVID-19. Is Mr. Speed mad? We know the problems that exist with stigma and discrimination. Can you imagine if the names of these students are disclosed to administrators? Because there is so much fear relating to COVID-19. I'm sure even after they have recovered, these students will be ostracized. So no, Mr. Speed, you are wrong with this one. And the Gleaner rightly mentioned in the article that the Disaster Risk Management Act outlaws the disclosure of COVID-19 patients' identity. Come on, Mr. Speed. That cannot be the way to resolve the issues.